The field is apparently contaminated, needs to be cleaned up. It's been closed, students can't use it, no one else can use the field at this point. The problem for the school board, as for a lot of other governments and for community groups, is how to find the resources to clean up the field. Where is the school board going to come up with upwards of $1 million to clean up this field? And if it can't come up with the money, what it's proposed to do is lease this property for long term to a private organization that will put on AstroTurf on the field and put a dome over the field in the winter time. So that's the question. Can the school come up with the resources, if it wanted to clean up this field? So now what do you see behind me? This is a huge parking lot, 144 spaces of free parking, and a prime downtown real estate in Toronto, not far from Bathurst and Bloor, where you have a streetcar stop, where you have the subway running east-west, and you have the north-south line very close by. So we're right here, in fact, behind Central Tech. You'll remember in the front of the school, there's a field that needs to be cleaned up. It's very expensive to do the cleanup. The school rather says it doesn't have the resources to do that. But yet this spot here, if even it generated $10 per spot over the period of a year, that would generate over $500,000 of revenue. If the land could be used for other school board purposes that would serve students as opposed to parked cars, or if the land were sold, there's a resource there that could be used to clean up the front of the schoolyard. So in other words, if we start looking at these spaces as resources as opposed to places that we simply devote to a single use, then all sorts of opportunities open themselves up, both for students, for school boards, and for the community. And ultimately that's a problem across the city. We devote a lot of our space on side roads, on arterial roads, to parking for dormant cars. Are there better uses we can use for that land? Well, cyclists have been fighting for safe spaces. Residents would love to cycle on some of these streets like Bloor Street in a safe way, but parking gets in the way. Other parts of the community want more green spaces, more park benches, more wider sidewalks, but what gets in the way is where do we put the cars? But if we can start asking the question, how do we best serve the people of Toronto with these spaces, then all kinds of opportunities open themselves up. So by thinking of this land behind me and on Bloor Street and other arterial roads where we have it devoted to parking as valuable community resources, then we can start to reimagine and to reshape our city in ways that make it more beautiful, that have more room for public squares, for art, for green spaces, for places simply to sit down and relax and enjoy our city. But the first step is we have to start looking at spaces like this as opportunities, as resources. And once we do that, then we'll create a more beautiful city.